Shopify is implementing their very own AI store building software.
So if you've ever started a business, you know that one of the biggest barriers getting started and getting your first sale is finding the right look and the right feel and the right design for your new online business.
But because of headlines like this, breaking, Trump signing action of tariff, it stops people like you from starting one, right? So the barrier of entry actually becomes, or seemingly becomes, thicker, but in reality, it's actually weeding out the noobs. Imagine a video game. If you're a noob and you gave up at the beginning instead of learning how to play, you'll never get around to the moment where you get to smoke people and level up in ranked, or like smoke your friends, right? Every single beginner and even intermediate has these couple problems, which is shiny object syndrome, which is the main thing, which everyone has, not just beginners. But the problem is with beginners is the next problem, which is they find it very hard to start. They find very hard to put their boots on the ground. You should let greed outweigh your fear. Because if greed outweighed your fear, you'd actually get started and make shit happen and make moves. But instead, you're letting your fear stop you from making content organically for your products or your social media or whatever, or your brand. You want to start a clothing brand, you want to start a fashion brand, whatever it is, an art brand. Like, you're letting fear consume you when you literally only have one life. Time is going to fly by. It's already flying by, like, which is unbelievable because I just made a video about how AI is going to take over, especially the dropshipping and e-commerce space. Just in general, it's going to be taking over. And if you obviously don't recognize this, you're going to be left behind. I mean, it's already 2025. This is detrimental to beginners. Why is this detrimental to beginners? It's becoming more accessible in comparison to 50 or 100 years ago, where you had to take out massive loans, open a storefront, couldn't ship anything. It's very, very easy to start a business now. I told you about a software that cost $1 in my last video, and now Shopify is going to implement it. Okay, let's watch my screen here. Let's see what Harley says. The CEO of Shopify has gone online
for 2024 earnings call. And there was a lot said in the call, so I want to jump on here and break it down for you.
Of course,
recording the earnings script a couple days ago, I literally paused, and you actually could hear it on the call, because when I saw what we accomplished, I was truly taken aback. Q4 was an incredible quarter, and even more importantly, 2024 was an exceptional year overall. So top line, here are some of the highlights from the entire year in 2024. Shopify was just shy of 300 billion in GMV.
Okay, holy shit. All right, first of all, I'm watching the wrong video, but holy shit. I mean, $300 billion. He just said it for you. Merchants generated $300 billion on Shopify. You didn't generate $1 million on Shopify last year, and users generated 1 billion. 300 billion. Some users probably generated billions. I mean, Kylie Cosmetics was on Shopify, whether she still is or has some like advanced, package. She was probably a chunk of that billion. Easily. Gymshark, chunks of that billion. And still didn't scratch the surface. Do you realize how small $1 million is? Like, for you, right? If you could take home $1 million at 10%, and maybe you make 100K a year. Do you realize how small of a bucket that is in terms of how much Shopify processes for merchants? 1 million compared to 300 billion. Let me do the math for you, since some of you actually struggle. Hey Siri, what is 1 million divided by 300 billion? Okay, this is the percentage. Can you see it? Listen, I'll put it on the screen here somewhere. I'll put on the screen. It's literally 0.00003%. If you generated just $1 million in Shopify last year, you generated 0.00003% of what was totally generated on Shopify. And for him to come on here and say that, it just goes to show that, I mean, he's just big dicking everyone. They've generated billions. Their stock price shot up. They're doing great, and you're not taking advantage of it. Now, I am on X. If you want to follow me on X, I'll leave a link in the description. Now, we're going to watch their Shopify launching an AI store setup, right?
So if you've ever started a business, you know that one of the biggest barriers getting started and getting your first sale is finding the right look and the right feel and the right design for your new online business. And that's where our new AI store setup comes in. So we've created a new tool, an AI tool that designs custom themes for your brand, which will be a massive time save for new merchants. So now you can put in a simple prompt like trendy, dainty gold jewelry for millennials, and our AI store setup will create custom themes for you to choose from so you can start selling faster. At Shopify, we've already made the build process pretty seamless with our preset themes that allow merchants to easily choose a design, but we know that customizations can still take time. And we're all about getting our merchants to their first sale as quickly and easily as possible. So I really love this new store setup because it makes the barrier to launching a new business even lower and saves merchants time designing their store so they can make sales even faster.
I mean, this guy is literally just copying what the fuck I said in the last video, which is the fact that you have the easiest and quickest opportunity of your life right now as a beginner. And here's the main difference, okay? Somebody who's in the game 3, 4, even 1 year, if you've been making Shopify stores for just 1 year, this is irrelevant because you will always make infinitely better stores at this point than this AI store design style, right? Now, this is really beneficial for new merchants because it gets you your feet on the ground very quickly. And that is the problem with beginners I've noticed. Like I've hopped on tons of free calls, like 3 calls in the past 4 years, ever since I started YouTube and TikTok 4 years ago, 2021. And every single beginner and even intermediate has these couple problems, which is shiny object syndrome, which is the main thing, which everyone has, not just beginners. But the problem is with beginners is the next problem, which is they find it very hard to start. They find very hard to put their boots on the ground and actually like put pen to paper and write shit. Like you're so far behind the race, like the tortoise and the hare, like you're the elephant that never got started. But because Shopify is making software to make it fucking easier for you. Do you realize that? Even though at the beginning of this video I mentioned how easy it is literally to start a business for $40 in Shopify, it's already that easy. People are doing it by the tens and hundreds, right? There are literally people testing hundreds of products, making new stores every year. Hundreds of new stores every year, for a fact. And you haven't even started 1 or 2, or like you haven't even made a sale yet. And listen, this is not a dig at you personally. It's a dig at your discipline, right? Like your discipline just lacks. You haven't been taught discipline. You haven't been taught what to do. Now, looking at my screen here, this is a store that my partner and I have started in the end of October, beginning of November. And then we started running ads. We started making sales. Like, did I make it sound too complicated? Right now we've crossed 250,000. Okay, in just 4 months. Now there's a giant dip, and why? I'm gonna talk about this now because aside from the Diddy thing that's going on, Trump is talking about 20% tariffs in the U.S. against China, which obviously disproportionately affects dropshippers. Okay. What the hell does that mean for you? That means more people are going to be more scared. They're not going to start stores. Even though Harley, Build Your Store.ai, me, myself, everyone on YouTube is making it infinitely easier for you to start your business. We're begging you to just get started. Or otherwise, all the videos that we put out for free on YouTube can't help you because you're not getting started. It became just a little harder with tariffs. Now, did it really become harder? Guys, the price and the cost always gets passed along to the consumer. The consumers get fucked because all 8 billion people are consumers. You can't live in a society without buying things. So we're all consumers. We all get fucked by this. 20% tariffs, a 10% tax increase, like that cost always gets passed on to what you're buying, right? So inevitably, this will only affect the consumer, and dropshippers will still thrive. That's just the way it goes. Like we have a certain margin level, we have to maintain it. That's why this fear, every time people watch news or go on social media, they get pushed away from making shit happen. And you're literally not making shit happen because of random headlines like this fucking Trump meme talking about a 20% tariff on China, which these things sort themselves out naturally. There's uncertainty, so we had to prepare. However, if you're not even getting started, like if you're using this shit as an excuse not to get started, like think about it. If I use that as an excuse not to get started by February and then there was tariffs, what would I be saying now? Right? Especially if I was a beginner, I would be making so many excuses. It's tough because there'll always be an excuse. Same way that you might have stumbled on my channel and I have 5,000 subscribers, but I don't post videos. Like, I still find excuses. Oh, I have nothing to talk about. Oh, I'm focusing on my business. Oh, I'm focused on something else. When in reality, I'm also maybe considered a beginner at the beginning stages of this business, right? A YouTube business. And I'm just making massive fucking excuses just so I don't have to do the work, which is record the video, edit it, pay an editor, do whatever, do literally whatever in terms of the business. And that is just such a beginner noob thing to say. And that's why I'm moving it away from this. Like, I'm just going to find ways to make new content, keep it fresh. Even if there's 100 people that want to watch this shit, so be it. Like, this is for you, and that's it. Now, let's talk about this Baba shit, okay? I mean, let's talk about this American tariff thing, because we're gonna go down the progress line of the things that are holding you back. Okay, so I actually pulled up a chart of the Baba chart on a weekly level. Right, Baba was getting absolutely shit on. Okay, it was at $300. This is all the way back in 2020 when the last economic boom under Trump was happening, and then when Trump got voted out and trade wasn't as profitable and whatever else, it just dumped. And it's been, I remember there was random things going on with China back then. But all that time, people were building brands, drop shipping, making money, doing e-commerce. That didn't slow anybody down from 2021 to then, right? But there was a big economic boom then because people were getting stimulus, people were making a lot of sales, people were starting businesses, they were more prone to do it, right? And all that fear took over, and then the Baba chart, this is Alibaba here, dumped because less people were starting businesses, they were fearful, they weren't importing more products. Now what's happening? Now this chart is recovering a lot, right? It dumped all the way to 80, hovered around here for a while. It's already back at 140, nearly double, right? It's up 80%. And it's looking like it's about to go all the way back up. So I anticipate this chart going up in the long term because Trump wants to deal business. He wants Americans to do business. He wants people to manufacture here, but he doesn't want to stop them from importing products from China. It'll be impossible, right? Like, there's no physical way that small businesses or businesses in general, big businesses, can survive without Chinese products. They just export too many things. So little things like this fear are personified by this chart, right? Now we are about to boom again. If you look at this chart, if you understand charts, you understand that this chart looks very well. It looks healthy. It looks like it's had a healthy pullback. It's stagnated for a while things were uncertain. And now with Trump back, similar to back here, weeks, it's going to boom maybe up to $200, $300. I don't even know, right? But because of headlines like this, breaking, Trump signing action of tariff, it stops people like you from starting one, right? So the barrier of entry actually becomes, or seemingly becomes, thicker, right? It becomes like the barrier. If you had to imagine an actual barrier, it feels like it's becoming thicker for you, but in reality, it's actually weeding out the noobs, right? Like, if you're a fucking noob, imagine a video game. If you're a noob and you gave up at the beginning instead of learning how to play, you'll never get around to the moment where you get to smoke people and level up in ranked, or like smoke your friends, right? And that's a problem because you just gave up. That's literally giving up because you were just too scared to commit a little more time to it. Now, granted, if we invested all the time we did it playing video games into learning skills, we'd be masters, right? And that's the point, though, right? Like, when you take time and dedicate time to master Call of Duty, Fortnite, right? Apex Legends, like all these hard games that have ranked modes, all you had to do was invest it in this. And the problem is, if you take the time to do something else going forward, especially if they're watching this video, instead of just focusing, you're going to set yourself back even further from living the entire way that you wanted to live the whole time. Which is a fucking shame because it doesn't take that long to learn Shopify, to learn e-commerce, to learn how to run ads. They come in waves, though. Like, first you have to learn how to open a store, which now the AI fucking eliminated for you. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Then you have to learn how to run ads. Then what happens is your ads are shit, so you learn how to run better ads. Then you start making sales, so you learn how to operate a little bit, like, processing orders and dealing with customer service. Then you realize that product and those ads weren't as scalable as they were, so you go back to the beginning stage, which is picking products again, and then you become skillful at actually picking winning products that can scale to high levels, not just like mediocre levels, right? Like, you find products that can scale to $1 million levels, and then you like go back through the cycle again, which is like, okay, with that new product, you learn how to make better ads with that product because you're scaling higher to the moon. And then when you scale higher to the moon, you find a way to scale all the way up, and then scale the customer service team again, and then scale the back end again. And like, it's kind of repetitions over and over again. And then over years, you master it. Like, there's no way you cannot find me a guru unless you pay the best mentors to one-on-one you every fucking day, which I know no mentor is doing huge numbers or mentoring other people every single day. It's literally impossible. You can't find me a single guru or a mentor who wouldn't agree with me that doing the iterations of every part of the business lead you to a high level, right? You don't just make the best store ever the first time. You don't just make the best ads ever the first time. You don't just make the best team, right? Like outsourcing your customer service team or outsourcing your media team or outsourcing your ad team or whatever, the best time, unless you paid the highest level people to do it for you, you'll never know from the beginning how hard it is and how long it's going to take to master that. And it's going to take years, but you don't have to be a master yet. You just have to get going so you can spiral upwards, okay? Now, instead people are worrying.
I think he's in there with you.
Instead, people are worrying
Yes.
their time about shit like this, which is Tucker Carlson and Sam Bankman-Fried, which is fucking hilarious, talking about how he shares a prison cell with Diddy. Do you know why there's any reason why they would normalize this conversation? This is not even a political thing. I don't actually give a fuck. It's pretty funny. But do you know why they will normalize this being a news head article? Probably because one of them are going to be released soon, absolved of their crimes, or vice versa. They're going to be convicted of their crimes, or whatever the fuck. And they're just trying to just make headlines. Everything's about clicks, bro. Everything's an ad. And if you're not running ads, you are the fucking product to the ad. Like, you are the consumer, which the product is, luring us in. And they did lure us in, right? Same thing with this YouTube video. I had to use mechanisms to lure you in with headlines, with thumbnails, with bullshit that I say at the beginning to get you hooked in. But in reality, I'm just your practical fucking guy trying to help you understand that after millions of dollars, it still excites me that I could go back and test new products and find potential massive winners. And if you're not getting excited like that, then you're just not deep enough. Like, you have to dig so much deeper, because you're never going to get to a point where, like, little things like launching a new store. And if anybody's not deep in the game, anybody deep in the game will say the same thing, that when you're getting ready to scale something to the moon, like when you're beginning to hire teams to run more ads, to, outsource and scale, it's the most exciting time. It's the most hectic time. It's the most fun time. And that's the whole reason why we get into this, so we can eventually take a vacation after we reap the benefits of actually scaling a product. Any non-beginner, I bet you would agree with me. Like, this is the most fun part. Like, it still excites us, like seeing a store go from 0 to 1,000 to 5,000K days. This is what it's about, guys. Like, people are literally, the CEO hopped on X yesterday. This post is from yesterday. That's why I had to make a video on it today, because he's literally saying what I said in my last video that has 200 views. Like, it literally has 200 views for no reason, when I'm telling people, I'm preaching from the hilltops. Like, only because I know from experience, like, stop waiting to get started, because there is so much opportunity that you're literally, the fear is being outweighed, and you should let greed outweigh your fear, because if greed outweighed your fear, you'd actually get started and make shit happen and make moves. But instead, you're letting your fear stop you from making content organically for your products or your social media or whatever, or your brand. You want to start a clothing brand, you want to start a fashion brand, whatever it is, an art brand. Like, you're letting fear consume you when you literally only have one life. Time is going to fly by. It's already flying by. Like, the fact that I've only launched a couple of videos in the last couple months, when in reality I could have just been posting shit, documenting shit, all the products we scaled, all the products I scaled for the last 2 years. I promised to release a free course on top of a paid, small group to, like, help people scale to the moon. And I just delayed it because I said to myself that, well, these new products that I tested, they take priority, because I know they're going to be million to $10 million brands that I could exit. So it's more worth my time. But it doesn't matter, because there's still stuff I want to do and to fulfill myself with, like making content, right? Like, there's 5,000 people, whether they're subscribers, that whether they actually care about my videos or don't, like, I care about them. So to not be making videos, just to help them, just for fun, it's just silly, and that's why, like, I post on X. You can follow me on X if you want to reach out, or just, like, see some tweets. Like, sometimes I post random political shit, or, like, random fun shit. I do it because, like, that's what it's about, guys. Like, there's really no one way to, like, live life, or, like, run business, or, like, do anything. And the longer you prolong shit, the longer you don't do shit, like, you are just sitting back. My banner's actually one of my best stores ever. My Google account, 6.7 million converted on 900 spent, man. 7x ROAS. I mean, that is what this shit is about, guys. Go ahead, follow me on Twitter, Ecom Professor and DGen, because I consider myself the Professor X. And I do consider myself a DGen because I do love to trade, invest in crypto, all this shit. I literally have a crypto miner sitting behind me. It's in one of my other videos. It's pretty funny. But it's just fun, guys. Like, it's just fun for me, and it should be fun for you. Like, stop living life so scared. Like, stop living life so worried. isn't even the first product we tested on this store. And, there is more sales, and sometimes I move it around. Like, let's say in the health and wellness niche, you have to test new products all the time. You have to test new stores all the time. You have to test new everything all the time because nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's going to give you winning products, even no matter how many softwares you use, no matter how much you pay or how much you expedite the process with AI or softwares or whatever. Like, you still have to test. You still have to find out yourself. And if you're not doing that, you are leaving so much money on the table. $300 billion was generated by Shopify in 2024. That's in 1 year. 300 billion. All you need is a small chunk of that, like literally the tiniest chunk. This product scaled down will do $1 million in this month. Like, we haven't even updated. We've launched one new ad in the last freaking 4 or 5 weeks, and it's still sitting here, and it's still going to do $1 million theoretically. Because eventually when we launch a second ad or a third ad, it'll scale. And once we figure out the tariff thing, it'll casually still go back up. Once we order new inventory at the new tariff price and figure out our new lowest price, and actually figure it out, that's when we'll be able to go to the moon. And like these are the things that you're missing out on because you're allowing your own brain to watch things on social media that convince you that other people will possibly make fun of you. Like, how else does it explain why you're not getting started? So with that being said, guys, hit like, hit subscribe. We're going to get into why it's going to get easier for you over and over again. Like, I'm going to make these fun little videos on top of the guides, on top of like the quick starts, on top of like products that you could sell. Like, I'm going to be implementing as much content as I can to help as many people as I can. Also to grow my YouTube. Like, this isn't just I want to turn this from fun into a job now. Like, I was doing it for fun for all this time. Now I know people really need help. Now I'm going to get started, and now I'm not going to fuck around. So hit like, hit subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next lesson because Professor X is done for the day.